Have you ever wondered what happens to a creator's social media when they disappear for like almost 2 weeks? Well, I accidentally tested that this month. In June, I traveled Europe for about 11 days. Before I left, I scheduled as much content as I could because I didn't want my accounts to just go silent while I was gone. When I got home, reality hit. I was uninspired, exhausted, and creatively drained. Instead of forcing myself to continue posting twice a day, I scaled back and only posted once a day. And now I'm going to show you exactly what happened. Not just the views, not just the follower growth, but what those numbers actually taught me about building a business online. If you're new here, hi, my name is Brooke. I am documenting the process of building my art business, the BM Edit, completely transparently, from creating products and growing on social media to eventually selling my artwork full time. Every month I share everything, whether it's a success or a failure. So let's jump into June. First, let's talk through the obvious. June looked worse than May. At least on paper it did. I posted 53 videos in June, which sounds like quite a bit, until you look and see that I posted 84 videos in May. The reason's pretty simple. As I've already said, I was traveling for almost 2 weeks. So a lot of the content I posted, I had to create and plan and schedule before I left. So that way I didn't have to worry about trying to get it up at the right times, with me being 7 hours ahead of my normal time zone. When I got back, I just wanted to chill and relax and recuperate from my trip rather than jumping straight in the next day of creating new content. And looking back, I think that was really the right decision because I was able to relax and get back into the grind of what I usually do without feeling the burnout I would feel if I jumped straight back in. So let's look at the total numbers for the month of June. On TikTok, I reached just over 9,000 views over all of my posts combined. And something shocking happened for Instagram. So if you've been following along, Instagram has not been my high performer. It has been barely getting by while TikTok and YouTube are soaring. It's stayed really low. Well, June, everybody seemed to like my content a lot more on Instagram because I got about 9,500 views on Instagram for the entire month. So about 500 more than I had for TikTok, which is kind of crazy to think about. Also, my YouTube Shorts reached just over 27,000 views, which honestly, seeing that total number was a little shocking because I know what my performance was looking like at the end of the month. And here's what's interesting about my total views, because we've seen multiple big numbers over the last few months, but here's what's interesting. The decline in views wasn't because my content suddenly became bad. Although I think YouTube thinks it is because it hasn't been showing it lately. The biggest factor of the decline in views from May to June, or even April to June, is just purely because I was not posting nearly as much. I posted half of what I've been posting. I posted almost half of what I've been posting. So I started reaching fewer people because I was posting less. And it may sound obvious, like obviously you saw fewer viewers because you were posting less, but I think it's an important reminder. Sometimes the numbers don't really mean you're failing. Sometimes it just means that your strategy changed. One thing I noticed over the past 4 months is that consistency matters so much more than trying to chase a viral video. Back in March, I was still kind of trying to figure out what kind of creator I wanted to be. April, I leaned into consistency and was trying to consistently post at least twice a day. May became my strongest month because I was consistently posting and documenting my business through my marketing challenge and just generic posts I was making throughout the month. I was able to document my business, and that really started becoming a lot of my growth, as well as consistently documenting the art I was creating with my art reveals. June became something completely different. Instead of trying to maximize the views, I started trying to piece how it all could work together. Rather than trying to make just a bunch of random shorts talking about my business and stuff like that, I started being really intentional about taking these YouTube videos and clipping them for shorts, for reels, for TikTok, because I feel like some of the information I'm sharing here is good information that I would have enjoyed seeing earlier in my journey. So instead of treating every platform separately, or instead of treating short form and long form content as completely separate beings, I started working them in as an ecosystem. And honestly, I feel like that's a much better long-term strategy, because that way I can have those consistent YouTube clip posts on my short form content, and then I can transition into having my art specific content. Building that ecosystem of showing not just my business but also my art consistently is where I'm moving in for the month of July. But now let's break down what you came here for. The breakdown of each platform. TikTok definitely took the biggest hit when I went from 2 posts per day to only 1 post per day. However, throughout the month, TikTok wasn't really vibing with anything I was posting anyway. Most of my videos were getting somewhere between 150 and 250 views. And I even had a video that had as low of views as 91. So one thing I have noticed is TikTok isn't loving all of my TikTok clips. However, I've had quite a few recently that have really gained an audience. So it's definitely something I'm going to lean into, and just keep in mind of what's performing well, not just on long form YouTube for my full videos, but what's performing well on short form for those same YouTube videos cut into clips. Instagram behaved very differently. Even though my views were down on quite a few videos, it was very consistent, and I even had a couple videos reach 300, and I think I even had one reach 500 views for the month. It tells me that Instagram's becoming a lot more stable as compared to my other platforms. So I'm actually working on building the relationships with people on Instagram, whereas I'm just gaining viewers on TikTok and YouTube. People aren't just watching them as all kinds of random videos. They're starting to see and recognize me as an artist and as a growing business owner. And frankly, that's exactly what I want. And then there's YouTube. This one was really interesting to me. My shorts dropped a lot compared to May. For April and May, I had multiple shorts go and have either almost 10,000 views or over 10,000 views. My highest short performance was almost 2,000 views. So a big change, and a lot of that is just the change in format. I went from revealing my art every day until I reached 1,000 followers to stopping that in May because, well, I reached 1,000 followers, and I transitioned into doing a sketching every day challenge, and I frankly fell off on it when I came back from my vacation because, as I already said, I was feeling really uninspired, and I didn't really want to create at all for like the entire week after I got back. And that was towards the end of the month, which really kind of stunted my content creation. But although my shorts views dropped a lot, and my YouTube shorts do not appreciate my YouTube clips, funnily enough, my long form content continued to grow. But all of my videos for 2026, the ones I posted at the beginning of the year, have continued to grow. Those being my camera reviews, which I have since discontinued creating because I'm trying to focus a little bit more on building my art business and building my credibility as an artist. Not only did they get more views, they obviously got a higher watch time, and I even gained a couple subscribers from those older videos and even some of my more recent long form videos, because I posted 4 new long form videos for the month of June. And that reminded me why YouTube is such a big priority for me. Not just because I'm trying to work towards monetization, but a TikTok might disappear after a day or even just a couple hours of being posted. A YouTube video can continue working months down the line. Continuing on our YouTube analysis, one of my strongest videos is the one where I talked about making $0 selling my art. And I think that's because people connect with the honesty of that video. The internet has enough people trying to pretend that everything is perfect, that everything is going great. And I am sitting here just trying to show you what building a business actually looks like. You're not always going to be building a business that immediately gets growth, that immediately is loved and makes all the sales in the world. Sometimes you work a little slower, but I love to show the wins, the mistakes, the slow months, everything. So that way maybe you can learn from my mistakes and that can help you in your growth. One thing I learned this month isn't that people are just following me because they enjoy what I paint. They're following the journey. This realization completely changed how I am going about thinking about content for July and even pre-planning some ideas moving into August. Instead of asking myself, what am I going to post today? I'm instead asking, what chapter of my business am I writing today? Because that's really what it is. It's not a collection of random videos. It's a story of building the BM edit from the ground up. June was not my biggest month. It may have been, however, one of my most important months. It reminded me that growth isn't always about posting more. Sometimes it's about building something that lasts. And that's where I am pivoting to in July. Thank you so much for following along on this journey. If you're interested in seeing what it takes to build an art business from scratch, stay tuned because I have quite a lot coming up through July and August. We are finishing my Christmas collection, getting a whole lot closer to launching my website at the end of the month, and just taking more steps to becoming a full-fledged real business. I'll see you in the next one.